itself, and it got invalidated here. 1241 candle. Traded below the low, closed below it, invalidating the breaker. Now it looks like it wanted to create another bullish breaker, but I'm not sure it actually confirmed it or not. And it did not. So we had a big push here at 1256. It potentially could have gotten over. This wing high is at 19,700 flat. The closure of this candle, 19,699 and a quarter. So we got 3 ticks away from confirming another bullish breaker. So we did not confirm it. Now we traded lower down to the lower edge of the breaker without going below, without closing below. And now we're back up around the equilibrium area, constant encroachment. So we'll see if price wants to keep going higher and whether this bullish breaker actually gets confirmed here on the 1 minute. But let's also keep in mind, this is Friday afternoon, so we've had a lot of volatility this morning, lots of wicks on the hourly. Let's go ahead and just check that out for a second. All right, so we still see we're getting a push lower on the dollar, which is a good sign for if we're looking for higher prices on indices. So the fact that we have a potential bullish breaker forming, not yet confirmed, but we do have the dollar pushing lower. It's a good sign for that setup to mature. But I do want to highlight the wicks we see on the hourly. So there's been a lot of play in the hourly candle where price is traded, pretty deep in one direction, over 100 handles, and then it retraced back within the same hour. 10 o'clock was probably the worst example of that. Of course, we did have news starting at 10, so we saw price push heavily in one direction, but then we saw it pull back before the hour closed, and then we saw it again at 11. Even at 12 o'clock, we saw a big push lower. Price closed a little bit higher, so we have a nice wick to the downside. But either way, we had 4 consecutive down close candles. Once again, we're not completely in sync because we have the Dow pushing higher while the other 2 are showing bearish candles. All right, let's move back over. So upside down head and shoulders here, so we should get a big bullish push out of this area pretty soon. Oh, what's up, Em? How's it going? Oh, from the open? Okay. Yeah, I know earlier when it traded down here around 10:45, we got, I think, like 80% of it closed. But yeah, good to see that's all now closed up. And it's healthy, biblical. Good afternoon to you. Happy Friday. Me too. I'm tired too. I didn't make it to bed until I was tossing and turning until probably almost 2 this morning. And some of you are aware of where I live, but my time zone, I start with you guys at 6:15, so I didn't get much sleep last night. Let's see if we get a run on these equal highs here. 701. Okay, we did get a run on that. So 701 has been accomplished. Those equal highs. All right, let's see now if we can get back to where this breaker block, where it traded into. The top end of this breaker block at 717. Heidi, so when we do the highs and the lows for lunch, we do 12 to 130. But I'm not 100% sure whether ICT says there's a lunch algorithm that runs till 130, but I think lunch is really 12 to 1, but you can use either or. I used to use 12 to 1. I recently started using 12 to 130 about 3 months ago, maybe. It's still no confirmation on this 1 minute here. Well, maybe there is. Let me drop down to the 1 minute so we can see. All right, so it looks like we did get a confirmation here at 13:16, about 5 minutes ago. No gaps though. I don't see a unicorn set up here. Maybe here. Yeah, it should, but just keep in mind this is Friday afternoon, so we're at the end of the week. So we're asking the market to continue to give us expansions, even as it's getting ready to close and it's getting towards the end. So it's good that we are starting to see it here. It's a good candle. Let's see how it closes in 30 seconds. I like that daily breaker block level at 19,717. Another 15 seconds for the closure here. All right, so we've reached that level of 717. So out of the breaker, we're looking at about 20 handles, 17 handles already out of the fair value gap. It's about 35 probably. See if the 830 open is next. If we trade to the 830 open, that'll give 25 handle profit for anyone who took the breaker. Lunch hour ends in about 3.5 minutes. So also keep that in mind as well. On the 1 minute, 11:19 to 21. Okay, let me check that out. You can use that one. It's probably not the one you want to use. You want to use the most recent one before liquidity is pulled. So if you look at 11:19 and 11:26, you have equal highs. In fact, let me show you here. All right, so you want to know if this right here is a bearish breaker. This is similar to the other example you asked, and maybe this is the same one where I was saying I wouldn't use this one because this candle here did not take the high, right? It failed and then it pushed the lower. So I wouldn't use this as your breaker, right? I would take this one because it pushed lower than this one, and then price pushed higher and took out those highs. So you'll be better off taking this one, even though it's large and you may not want to take that. This is more than likely a breaker. And then look at what happened. You get a confirmation on that right here, and you get a trade right back inside, and then price goes lower. All right, Mohammed, let me know if that makes sense for you. Yep, biblical dollars down, so that means we should be looking for higher prices on indices. Well, yeah, as long as there's rejection in that area, then yeah, it technically works. It does. Just keep in mind, just always have a narrative behind your entries. So if you're looking for this breaker to work again, That means on this push down, we didn't reach liquidity. And so we're just retracing back up to then push lower to get to the liquidity target that we're searching for. So you want to make sure that you have a narrative behind the entries that you see. Right, so you take the bullish breaker here, and you don't want your targets to run much past this bearish breaker unless you expect this bearish breaker not to hold. And if you expect this not to hold, then again, where's your liquidity target? What are you looking for? Are you looking for this swing high? I'm sorry, these equal highs here to be taken? Are you looking for these highs up here to be taken, these session highs? All right, you want to keep your eye on the clock. It's 1:30, so we got about 2.5 hours left of trading. You'll start seeing volume really drop off around 3:30, so you got like 2 hours left. So that you want to keep that in mind, and also just where price has been today and where it may want to go back to. So when I look on the hourly, I do see long wicks. Long wicks generally need to be traded back into the balance. And so what I would do is I'd start. Right, we have these long wicks here at 10, here at 11. So I would take consequent encroachment of this one first. We want to see if that one gets balanced. Right, so the first place I want to look for price to do something is 769. When it gets to 769, I want to see if price has satisfied itself and want to come the other direction, or does it continue? If it continues, then I would believe that it would go all the way to the top at 819, and then we would do the same exercise over here. Say, where's consequent approachment of this wick? All right, so we didn't quite get there at 11 o'clock. It's a little above there, and it's at 829. So if we get past consequent encroachment of the 11 o'clock wick, then I'm looking at 829 for the 10 o'clock wick. That also has a bearish 1 hour fair value gap, another area where price may want to turn around. That also has above it the 1 minute breaker that sent price lower this morning. So we'll follow price as it goes, as it continues to push higher. We'll look at those different points and refer back to them. Say 1 minute bearish breaker here. It is. Okay. Oh, this is the one I just drew. Okay. The one just before lunch. Oops, that you guys were asking about. All right, so this right here actually may be the same area as that wick I was talking about. Let's look at what kind of delivery we got out of the breaker. So anyone who did take this breaker at 700, you were able to grab 40 handles. Hopefully that was enough. If not, we'll see if it continues to go higher. Okay, glad. All right, Mohammed, I'm glad you now have a better understanding. So just continue to practice. Mohammed, what I found was the easiest in the beginning when I was first learning the spot breakers is I would first look to see when you just look at how price moves and you just watch it on, like, let's say you grab it on like the 5 minute, right? And you just see price doing all these things and moving around and doing his thing. And so what I would do is, like, let's say this was your five minute price. Then I would go down to the 1 minute and I would look at each of these points and say, all right, when we got here and price went higher, let's find the breaker. All right, we made it here and price went lower. Let's find the breaker. Or if this was the start of price right here, let's find the breaker here and then flow it all the way down. And then when price got here and went all the way back up, let's find the breaker at this bottom point. And so you just start first identifying breakers where you see price change direction. And then from there, once you identify the breaker, then start rewinding 5-10 candles before the breaker formed and just look at how price performs before it sets up the breaker, before it changes direction. So you can start anticipating when it's going to happen. When you start to see momentum slow down, or you start to see a fake out of some structure. And then from there, it'll be easier for you to see the breaker, and it'll be easier for you to, when you see two different locations where the breaker could be, it'll be easier for you to decide which one you want to use. I didn't pull a target, Hetty. Normally, I like 25 to 30 handles because my back testing tells me that if I take a breaker between 1 and 5 minutes, I know I can get 30 handles out of it. And so I've built my trading based on those kind of entries and those kind of exits. But if you want to just take it as far as it'll go, where could it go? Let's see. All right, so here on the 1 minute, this is what we're going to do. We're going to identify this as potentially a market maker buy model. Okay, so this is the buy model. This would be your bottom. So this is going to be the first level. We saw it trade up at that level, wicket, trade back down, consolidate a bit before expanding again. So next, we want to see price take out this level, one of these two, either 751 or 756. So I'll just put the lower one, and it'll likely take them both at the same time. We'll probably see another retracement of some kind. And then the final one, I'll put it there. I'm not going to put it at the ultimate high because it may not want to take that high. It may want to come up here just to pull enough liquidity to turn around. So we'll take this high, which is also within this order block. So it looks like consequent encroachment of the order block is really close to where this high is. In fact, let's just lower one to this one. All right, so 801. 801 is my third level. So the first level's already been achieved, and that's basically the entry. It's already delivered to 40 handles, so I would have already been out. If you're holding, 751 to be your next TP. And then further than that, another 50 handles to 801. Trying not to be too aggressive. Again, this is Friday afternoon. We've had a big push upwards and downwards, so we're just in the range right now. Right, I'm not sure how many of you trade VWAP, but M says that there is a VWAP at 749. lunch high and low. So the lunch high clearly is at 130. So it was this candle. Immediately the next candle at 130 traded higher. So the lunch high didn't survive at all. The lunch low is down here. Macro in about 10 minutes. Okay, order block plus double top. Appreciate that in. All right, there's your 50 handles there. See if we can close out at 751 versus just getting 750 and a quarter. But yeah, anyone who wanted 50 handles from 700 flat, you would have closed out last candle. 50 handles even. That was also a tap into the 1 minute bearish breaker. All right, there it is. There's a 751 flat. All right, so those of you who have been with us this morning and this afternoon, there have been numerous setups that we've called out. So I'm going to let this be the last one that I call out today. But what I do want to do is to support all of you who are still learning, still developing your eye to see breakers. So what I want you to do is when you identify something and you're unsure, call it out. Let me know what time frame it is, which candles you're looking at, and I'll help you as far as confirming what you see, or if you don't see it, kind of steering you in the right direction. So as opposed to me just giving it to you, once you find it, tell me what you see, and I'll confirm it now. Oh, no problem, Brian. So, Mohammed, you've been quite active over the last couple of weeks since you've joined, and I do appreciate your questions. I can see where you're going with it and that you're learning a little bit more each day. And so hopefully in short order, we'll have you lined up where you can identify them just as quickly as the rest of us. So first levels, well, I'm sorry, yeah, that was the first level. So we'll put that out of the way. This was our second level, 751. Don't be surprised if there's a retracement here. I'm not saying there will be, but usually there is. Sometimes it's only back to where the swing high was that it took out, 751 mark. And other times it'll retrace all the way back to the first marking, which would be 700. All right, if we make it to the 801 level, then we are potentially invalidating this bearish breaker, meaning we are going higher. Let's quickly jump over as well. We'll look at all the indices just to get an update before we get to the macro, as well as the dollar. At the far left, you see the dollar. Looks like it's going to make a new low for the day, so the dollar is not done being bearish. We saw some bullish activity for about 12 hours, but it wasn't that much. It just really closed in this volume imbalance over here that was created at the opening bell yesterday at 1800. So we had a new day opening gap is what that is. Once that was filled in this morning at 9:30, then we saw price crash and it's still pushing lower. So we will continue to look for higher prices. Remember this morning, we got the previous day high traded above on the Dow. We did not get the previous day high traded to on the S&P nor the Nasdaq. It would be a tall order for that to happen this afternoon, but anything's possible. So if we get really, really heavy bullish activity, then we could look for that 20.025. But I would focus more on just getting to the 800, and let's see if we can make it there. And here's the retracement I was talking about. Let me put the look back so we can see that retracement happening. It's here, 751. No, breakers can be on any time frame, biblical. The 5-minute will be stronger than the 1 minute. The only difference is like what I'll do, biblical. So if you find the exact same area where there's a 5-minute breaker, and you drop down to the 1 minute, and it's just it's 5 times as many candles, but it's the same area, the same price leg, then what I would do is I would use the breaker on the lower time frame, because you'll get a confirmation quicker. And what you're looking for is that confirmation and then the retrace back inside to then take the entry. Naturally, 1 minute breakers happen more often, but let me find a 5-minute. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This 5-minute looks a little weird, and it took me a while to find it, but it's because this candle right here is a down close candle, so it put a break in this price leg here. If they were all bullish, then I would have used the entire leg starting from the bottom. Since we got this break here with the bearish candle in the center and a swing low right here, I started my breaker there and took it to the high. And it's on the 5 minutes. This is 5 candles, 25 minutes. Now, if we start dropping down, oops. All right, so here on the 3-minute, it's the same range. You can see it's the same areas. So I like the 3-minute better than 5. And let's look at the 1 minute and see what we get. All right, so the 1 minute, we got a swing low here. We have a swing low here. So 1 minute wouldn't work, but if we use the 3-minute, it's the exact same area. All right, it's the same area here, all consecutive candles, same direction. So if we use the 3-minute, what we will get is, okay, so we got about the same, because it was this big impulse candle at the news. But what would have normally happened is you would have got confirmation on a 3-minute candle, which would have come before the 5-minute, and the next candle likely would have traded back down into the range. So if you find something that's a 5-minute, then you can also validate the same on the lower time frame, choose the lower time frame. So I guess that wasn't the best example to use, but I tried. All right, let me put this marker back up, because we can accept the retracement back down this far. All right, here's the macro. So we'll go back down to the lower time frame. push to the upside. And during this macro, if the point of this macro was to sweep these highs and get back to the upside, talking about these equal highs right here. Let's see if we get a big bullish push up to 768. Looks like we just got a retest of the 830 open. We spent 5 or 6 minutes around 335 doing the same thing. It's good to see it push higher without the shifting market structure down here. So it's good to see that it didn't do that, because that would have put a little kink in our armor there. Yeah, Mohammed, I think we went over this yesterday, where you asked about the session highs and lows. Remember, session highs and lows are just time zones. So the London session, the kill zone, the London kill zone, and these are coming from ICT, is from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. So you just look for the high and the low between 2 and 5 a.m. From there, you're looking for price action to trade through those liquidity points. The high of a particular time period, it's always going to be a swing point, like what you see here, where it made a high and then price went the other direction. So other than that, if it hasn't been traded to when I start the morning session, I put it on the chart as a area of liquidity that if price moves in that direction, that may be what it's targeting. So it's just pools of liquidity that you're looking for. So if price is going in a certain direction and that level has not been tapped yet, then that's where you start looking for either a reaction when it gets there, as far as turning around, or you look to exit your trade if you're in one. If it's not continuing, or if the pool of liquidity is further. So that's what the session highs and lows are about. It's about having points on your chart where there are liquidity points, meaning stop losses. Whenever we say pool of liquidity, we're talking about where do people put their stop losses. And that's where price moves to. It moves from different points of liquidity, just taking people's stop losses. If you're on the wrong side of the market, it's looking to take you out. Yeah, that's probably the best I can give you on that subject. It's not a huge component of my trading. Like I don't come in and set up trades based on that. It's just if I see a bullish breaker and I am bullish for the day, and I see a London high that we didn't trade to yet, then that's a place where I would look to exit. Just the same as when we did the lunch. So now we have a lunch low, somewhere down here. Okay, it's way down here. So now we have a lunch session low that we haven't traded to, and we might not trade there today, but I'll leave it here, and next week, probably on Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll start breaking down, and then we can see this lunch low as a pool of liquidity you'll want to go to. And you can see how it's a low point, and then price went higher. So if you were bullish and you were going higher, you would put your stop loss right here below this point, thinking that price won't come back. So if you were thinking about let's say if you were a swing trader and you hold your trade for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, however long you hold, you may have your stop loss placed here, and it will remain there for days on end. So that's when price will come in. And if you're still holding, looking for longs, it'll come take your stop loss. And that's how the market collects money. It just goes back and forth between stop losses that are placed on the charts. So that's why I try to get out of my trades and 20, 30 handles. I don't need to pay my mortgage in one trade. or at least not with one account, but with multiple accounts, it's pretty easy to do. All right, Mohammed, those are the times that you look for the high and the low, and you mark those out. We got one. Another one that we use, and I haven't heard ICT use this one, but Milad, one of our subscribers, uses this one. All right, 8:30 open for the third time. In this macro, we hit it at 1352, 1356, and now here at 1400. So we are on the other half, the other side of the hour. It's now 2 p.m. This is the silver bullet time for those who trade that strategy. All right, so you decide if you're bullish or bearish. Oops. Let's just combine these two together. So we have now, at 2 o'clock, tapping to the fair value gap right at 2 o'clock. And remember, if you're looking at the silver bullet, you're looking for, if I'm not mistaken, 10 handles on Nasdaq. You look for a potential of 20 and you take the first 10. So you would have entered 724. So you'd be exiting at 734. All right, well, you're already at 744. All right, it gave 19 handles, so it's already delivered more than 10. That was a quick and easy silver bullet in 2 minutes. I mean, it can. Don, yeah, it can make a new low today. Be down at 19,600-ish, just below that. Given we only have about an hour, hour and a half of good volume left, my guess is that we're going to stay in the range. Now, it could make a new low, could make a new high, but my guess is we'll stay in the range. And I'll show you the range. So if you go to a higher time frame, like the hour. All right, let's take off some of the lipstick here. Right, so this was our big candle at the end that sent us higher up to around 904. And then 2 hours later, we may put in a low at 592. So we're talking about a 300-point range between this high and then this low here. And now we're in that range. So my guess is we're going to just stay in this range between 900 and 600. And right now we are practically at equilibrium point of 750. All right, trade a little bit higher. We'll hit some point of liquidity. We'll trade a little bit lower, hit some point of liquidity, and then just kind of fizzle out somewhere in this range for the day. If it moves and takes out a low, it takes out a high, it can absolutely do that. I'm not asking the market to do that. I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on the market. I'm not looking for that type of setup. If that's going to happen, find a bearish breaker and then go from there. There is a 1 minute bearish breaker right where we are now. So that could push price lower. We've traded into it multiple times during the macro period. So something could happen here. I'm still kind of bullish though. And another thing, let's go back and let's take a look at our comparison chart here. Right now, we started at 2 o'clock. First thing it did was sweep the hourly low and put in a new low for the day. So yeah, the indices can put in a new low, but we generally like to see the indices have an inverse relationship with the dollar, and the dollar has beat it through it, and dollar is the one that is fighting to be bearish. So the only problem we see with the indices is that of the three, Nasdaq's the weakest, so it looks like it may want to go lower. Whereas we see the Dow is pushing higher, and in fact, the Dow was the only one that took out yesterday's high. But yeah, I'm not 100%, so I could absolutely be wrong, but that's just my 2 cents. Oh, this was a 5 minute fair value gap. The down on the 1 minute was 2 fair value gaps combined. I put them together after watching Ray do it the last couple weeks. Oh, that's interesting. I was 751 coming out of 724, so it gave 27 handles. So anybody who wanted 25 handles on the silver bullet, you've already TP'd out. You should be done. Saying, can you take a risk of 1% per trade? Yep. All right, Hattie. Catch you later. Sure. Yeah, you can take a 1% risk per trade. Like if you have a 50,000 account, you can put $500 risk on a trade. You can do that. Absolutely. That's generally the risk I take on a trade. Is usually my stop loss is somewhere close to 25 handles. I try not to make it more than 25, but for the most part, 17, 18, 20, 22 seems pretty normal. But I'm taking 1-to-1 trades to increase my strike rate. So if you're going to do the risk reward thing, then you got to then look and see what type of reward you're trying to take. And most people always want more. They will always want to take out more than they put in. But they never account for the fact that if you do that, your strike rate is going to reduce. So you have to be willing to take losses. It's our macro. Right. So we had a 5-minute breaker that sent price higher. If you keep stretching across, that same 5-minute breaker supported price at 1 o'clock coming out of the lunch hour. And keep in mind, this 5-minute breaker came from yesterday around 3 p.m. So it supported price once again. Then if you drop time frames, you had a 1-minute breaker supporting on the top. So after it made it out of the 5-minute, if you didn't get in, you could have dropped time frames and caught a 1-minute one here, 1-minute unicorn. Covering this entire area is a new 5-minute breaker. And that's this one. So even if you didn't even have yesterday's on the chart, you would have missed this move over here before lunch. You would have missed the 11 o'clock move because you didn't have yesterday's 5-minute breaker there. But after lunch, you would have found the 1-minute, and then you would have found this as a new 5-minute. Right, traded below, traded back above, confirmed. We have not traded back to it. So if we get back down here, you know why. Oops, sorry, I said I wouldn't give you any more setup. So let me be true to my word. All right, good to hear that you're done for the day, which means you've met your profitability target and you're on your way towards a payout. So congrats, good to hear. Have a good weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Yeah. Yeah, Friday afternoons are always quiet. There are fewer traders. People are hitting happy hour or spending time with friends and family, so they're not no longer on the market the last couple hours of the week. So we don't have nearly as many people in the room right now, so lots of opportunity to answer questions. Plus, I'm not in currently looking for any more setups for the week. I'm done. Right, 30 handles from the silver bullet now. Oh, absolutely, John. Yes, I am green for the week. Mariana, we are bullish. But again, Mariana, you say you're new here. I don't know when you joined. Been on now for a little bit over an hour, but I've been mentioning to everyone during the last hour that I'm not optimistic that there's going to be a huge expansion area for this afternoon. I mean, there's obviously going to be price movement, which we've had. Like we had a nice move from here up 60 handles or so, actually almost 70. We just had a silver bullet entry at 24 that just went 30 handles. So there are still entries to be made and trades to win, but I'm not hopeful that there's going to be a 200 point price run this afternoon somewhere. And so I think price is just going to trade in the range. Yep. Like if you haven't met your goals for the week or you're not green for the day and you want to be, yeah, these are probably not the times where you want to make that up because there's not volume is going to start dropping off in the next 45 minutes or so. You're going to start seeing volume leave the market, and yeah, price runs are going to be far and few between. But we originally had looked at this as a market maker buy model with these as the points of interest. This was the first one. And we had price trade above it with a wick, come back down, and then finally trade above with the body. I'll show you what it looks like on 1 minute. It looks a little cleaner. This was our second level at 751. We just saw that level being traded to as well, trade above, and now we saw a retracement from that. That led us to our 2 o'clock silver bullet, which then price started moving a little higher. And then we have our final terminus where we think price is going to go, which is there. It's funny how it's a trend line. But anyway, let's go to 1 minute. I'll show you what we were looking at. Oops. So we started that here when we saw price push out of the breaker, create this 1 minute breaker that we took the 50 point move out of. This was the first point, as I mentioned. This is where the breaker was confirmed. This is where we took the first trade to, and we said, all right, this is where we want to exit. And if you wanted to stay until the end, then the third one, we highlighted this point as opposed to this one, which may be difficult to get to. Just because price likes to play around, when it gets to the end of the price leg, it'll start pulling back, and it'll take 30 minutes to deliver those last few points. So you want to get out before that happens. These are the swing points that we looked at for a market maker buy model. This was the sell leg, consolidate the bottom, impulse higher, and start to deliver on the buy side. Yeah, of course. Yep. There's healthy. There's definitely a range here where you can grab 50 handles or so. It's just, do you want to endure the back and forth that's gonna push on you? So that's all. It may be harder to find a setup, is all I'm saying. Like, if you only have an hour left, putting pressure on the market to deliver a clean setup in that time. But yeah, if you're a veteran and you've been doing this for a while and you know how to scalp, you can definitely make some money. Yep. This is a heads up. Today I won't be going till 4 o'clock. It's Friday afternoon, so I'm going to start scaling things back around 3. I might hang around until the macro is over at 310, but that'll probably be the end of this afternoon session. Yes, Mohammed. The only thing is, and you'll pick this up in your back testing. I don't prefer pullbacks. Like for instance, these two candles here would be the pullback that we would need to start a bullish breaker, because you would like to see it like this, right? When I get the pullback candles, sorry, there. I like for my pullback candles to eclipse this candle. So I don't like this one because it didn't trade higher than this previous candle, this 1242 candle. So that's the only reason why I don't like that one. So it might be better to find a smaller time frame, because then you'll get this 1242 candle chopped in half or in quarters. So maybe like a 30-second or 15-second. All right, 30 didn't work. Let's take 15. All right, here we go. All right, so 15, this candle right here, this 1242 and 45. This one was traded higher than right here. This candle 1244.15. So this price leg here, this leg would be the one, and it traded higher than that. So yes, you could use that as a bullish breaker. In this case, it's probably better to do this. Slide it over. Take that one. Right, these two pull back larger than this candle right here. Traded lower, trade back higher, and so that would be it. Either way, there's no retracing back down, so you'd either needed to do a market execution or you wouldn't have gotten this entry. So, but it doesn't really matter, because if price left the area and didn't return back, you're still inside of a larger breaker. So just when the price gets up to equilibrium, or right here, the consequent encroachment mark, take the market execution there, because you have confirmation and some comfort having a bullish breaker below on a tiny time frame. I know it's 15 seconds, but you're still inside of a 5-minute bullish breaker. So if the 15-second gave you something down low, it traded higher, you don't even have to wait for it to come back. When you get to consequent encroachment of the 5-minute, you take your entry. And by the time you get to the top of the breaker, you've already accumulated 25 handles, and you can end your trade. You don't even need to wait for it to go higher. You would have already been out. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, Mohammed, I think where your next I guess leap in your understanding of how price is moving is for you to fully understand market structure. And I know there's a video in the Discord from Strange ICT. That's a username on YouTube. He does really, really good videos on market structure. You have continuation 1-minute breaker here. So far, this bearish 1 minute above has held. We pushed in at 144. Now it's been 45, 50 minutes, and we're still sitting here at this lower edge of it. So it's not allowing price to get up to consequent encroachment at 773. But let's see what this little 1 minute right here does, if this is enough to push this little consolidation range higher so we can sweep these equal highs. Oh, no problem, Mohammed. Thanks for the questions, and as always, I'm glad you're here and you're checking in every day. Hopefully next week my sound will be back to normal and it won't be so painful to listen to me. Get up as 750, 751, then we probably have a good chance of getting up there. Price return back down to these same levels. So could return as low as 700 to test 700 before trying to touch the top level, which we have marked off at 801. And around right here. Yes, John, I'll be streaming on Monday. Yes, I will be. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and create that invitation now. All right, invitation is now created for Monday, August 26th, 9:15 New York time AM. All right, can we trade past 751? All right, good. See if we can keep going. It's the swing point to surpass at 760. That's this point right here. Done. Now we want to see if price can get up to 767, 768. I'll be right back. Give me 2 minutes. Let's see if we get something this afternoon. We may not. Maybe volume is too low, or price just doesn't have any pool of liquidity to run to. So we'll hang in there. Still hopeful, but just got to remember it's Friday afternoon and it's 2:45 already. All right, we got macro coming up in about 4 minutes. 4 minutes, the macro is here. And we'll look and see if during the macro, maybe it'll run up, get to 800. Smith, do you want to take a long? Did you take a long? What other than did I take an entry? What question are you asking? It's still trying to get to 768. We have these equal highs from around 1345, 1344. These equals highs here. Looking to see that level eclipsed. We've been looking at this 14-point stop loss, 28-point TP, so a 1 to 2 trade. So far, we've let's see, 751. We've made it as high as 765. So we've gotten a 1 to 1. We've gotten 14 handles. One more minute before the macro starts. This was the most recent 1 minute bullish breaker that's formed. To the left, you see a much larger 1 minute bearish breaker, which sent price lower at 145. Also sent price lower here around 1150. And the breaker was created when price shot down at around 1140 from up here. Split this lower half of the breaker into two pieces. We'll see where the quadrants are. So up to 50% right here. This is quadrant 1, the lower quadrant of the breaker. We spent trying to get above that quadrant. We spent all the way until 240. And finally, now we're into the second quadrant. If you look at this metric from 50 up to 100, right here is quadrant 2 of the bearish breaker. So we're slowly making our way up, pushing through this bearish breaker right here. But you can see how it's holding price. All right, so I put this Fibonacci on 50% mark. Split this half of the breaker split the half into halves, and that's when you get the quadrant. So the lower quadrant and the next quadrant. I know it's probably difficult to see, so I'll let it go. All right, so we're in the macro now, everyone. Have our 250 to 310 macro. This will be our final macro of the session today. There is another one later, but I'm going to end the session when this macro concludes. So this will be it. Submit, did you just join it? You just got in? All right. I hate to do this, but it's a tough thing when you join a live stream and you see somebody doing something, and then you immediately jump in and raise your hand and say, "Hey, why are you doing this?" If you're late, just go back and rewind it. The live streams, they don't go away. It's still going to be there. So just go, or you can rewind it right now and watch it, and watch the last 30 minutes or so and see when the markets came on the screen and see what I was talking about before. But to join late and then ask me to catch you up immediately, it's a tough one to do, right? Try to show up on time. down. So see if this ends up working out for us, or if the bearish breaker proves to be too strong for price to go higher. All right, so that trade idea did not work based on the stop loss I had placed there. Look at that, right back to 8:30 open. All right, we first entered this price range at 130. So at the conclusion of lunch, we've just sat in the same zone, and can't say I'm surprised. Yeah, it's a Friday afternoon for you. Not much range at all. All right, everyone. So final questions, comments. Make sure you throw it in. We're gonna get ready to close up shop soon. Hey Ray, appreciate you reminding everyone. All right, let's see if we get push down to 700 before sending price higher for the end of the day. We just tapped back into the daily bullish breaker, 717. It made it down to 706, not quite 700, but it was a good retracement. after final couple minutes here on the 1 minute, and then we'll close our session in a couple minutes when we get to the end of the macro. Impulse here. Yeah, I'm still hopeful for that run up to 800. There you go. 30-second. Look at that. See if this worked for you. Alrighty. There's a unicorn. And there's our inverse. All right. So that was the last setup of the day there. Hopefully this is able to get us up to the 800 level. We go back to where we started. I'll just close this out. We were in this area waiting for our 1 minute breaker to be confirmed after we came back from lunch. We started at 1 o'clock. It was confirmed right around here, 1:15. Traded back in and out, delivered what it needed to deliver. We didn't identify the market maker buy model. Point 1, point 2, point 3. So point 3 was at 801. We've already reached the second point, 751. So we got that already. We're looking for 801 now. So now as we keep looking, See, we're past 751 once again, and we've closed above those equal highs at 769. We were trying to get there earlier, and we failed, pushed lower. I thought it was a potential to push lower earlier, but it didn't. It kept pushing higher, which is why we then looked at a bullish breaker up in this area as opposed to waiting for it to retrace. We knew we were running out of time because it's the afternoon on Friday. But let's now see if we can get past 767. We can get past 767. And I think the last 30 points to get to 800 probably won't take too long. But that'll do it for me. That's it for this week. I appreciate you all being here. Thanks for all the questions today. That was it was a good session. I know sometimes it's not easy to ask questions when there's a lot of people around or you're not sure if your question is a good one or not. But I'm glad that we did get some good questions today, and I was able to answer the majority of them. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you're able to back test the setup, learn how to see breakers often. So then it's more just refining breakers to, oh, there we go. So 768 is now traded above. So now when you see breakers, it's more or less just, okay, which one do I want to use? Where do I want to put my stop? How many contracts do I want to go in with? And that becomes how you trade. All right, so I guess I'll hang on a little bit and see if we run up to 800 here. We're already up to 780. We passed consequent encroachment of this bearish breaker. Let's see if we can get the last 20 handles here pretty quickly. This was, get rid of that. I can take out. For those who didn't understand why the 30-second bullish breaker here, we had to return back down into the daily breaker. So it's much higher time frame daily. So we saw it break there, and from there we saw a big push out. The first handful of candles afterwards. So then we dropped time frames, and it was pretty clear to see this was a very easy breaker setup here. These are the textbooks, the ones that you want to see regularly. It's super easy, and you don't have to question it. It had a inverse inside, it had the unicorn inside, and so, well, I'm sorry, the fair value gap created a unicorn setup, and so that's why that one was preferred to 30-second, even after we saw the previous one fail. It looks like it may take a little bit longer to get up there, so I'm not going to hang on with you guys, but hopefully it gets up there. If anyone's in a position, good luck to you. On your way out, make sure you hit the like button. That goes a long way towards supporting the channel. Also, if you are new, make sure you are subscribed so you get invitations to all live streams, and more importantly, you get access to the chat, which I hope you guys see is quite valuable between myself and Ray and Queen and Milad and some of the other traders who come in and give you their positions and their opinions on what the market is doing at the moment and where they see price going. So have a good weekend, everyone. And let's see if there's anything final. Yep. No, thanks. All right, Sandy, good to have you. Good to have you. All right, everyone. Yep. So I'll bow out now. I'll leave you to it. And yeah, happy trading. Have a good weekend. I'll see you Monday. Take care, all.